Welcome to Brothers and Influence podcast, where we stand to encourage, inspire, and add value to Black men in the areas of life, leadership, and community. We consist of five brothers discussing relevant topics thoughtfully with candor and care. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'm so glad
Let's get it.
You might know me. My name is Ian Williams, your purpose coach. You can find me at Son of the King 02 on Twitter and on Instagram with my family, my beautiful family. Shout out to my wife and the mother of my child. Mother's Day was just yesterday. On Instagram at Team Reconcile. And at my shoulder to shoulder with me is three of my five brothers, my four brothers. I'm sorry, three of my four brothers on here with me. I'm five, and I just want to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves before I get too excited. So, who wants to start us off?
Sherrod,
Hey, go ahead, do it.
so I'm over here texting. If you're with us, like us, please share with somebody that could benefit from it. I'm sending out the word to some folks. My name is Lorenzo Daughtry Chambers. Win with Lorenzo, but I'm just hyped because my man Sherrod is back with us this week. Sherrod, we missed you, bro. So I think I'm gonna shut up and pass it on to you. Go ahead and introduce yourself, black man.
Hey man, I miss y'all too, man. It's it's Sherrod Ledet, your leadership locksmith.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've been a little missing in action, but I'm back, man. But my guys have been holding it down. Love you guys. I'm just ready to get back at it today, man. Just ready to get back in it.
Yeah.
Shante Price here, your leadership and financial coach. Also excited to have my main man back in the building. Yes, sir. He been sleeping, so he gonna bring some smoke today.
Definitely got some rest though. I definitely did that.
But also though, make sure you can check me out at www.winwithlorenzo.com. All social media, Win with Lorenzo. I'm actually doing 31 days of prayer for the month of May. Anybody is willing to join. It's totally free. You can check out my social media or anything like that, but we'd love you to participate. Also, go to Sherrod's website. Sherrod, I don't know if you said your website. Shante said yours, but let's make sure we put that out there for the folks to get resources and connect also.
Right. Yeah. So my website is just simply my name, SherrodLedet.com. You can go there. You can find just anything you need to know about me and any other services that I offer. I do coaching, leadership coaching, and personal development. So, hey, if you need anything, just reach out to me.
Okay. How can the people get in touch with you? I'm gonna put in the plug. Shante has his coaching and consulting firm that he does, but he also has holistic health and wellness products. And so I have some testimonials for him, especially for the brothers. You should contact him. But Shante, how can folks get in contact with you and even look at maybe some of the products and stuff you might have?
Shante Price on all social media networks. And working on my website still at the moment. That's pricelessencounters.com. And then my health products, also working on that website. I have me and my brother and another business partner. We all have a health and body essentials business, all natural products. So if you are interested, you can hit me up on social media.
That's right. He's being modest. It's a storefront. They're in the shop. That's why I give that a round of applause. And you can order. So like if you have a need of something, DM him and his brothers can let you know, like, listen, we have this might be good for you, and they'll ship you something. So definitely if you've been concerned about your health at all, definitely send Shante a DM. Yeah.
What about you, sir?
So I'm doing prayer this month. You can go to winwithlorenzo.com/prayer, and you can get a free prayer book of 32 prayers. The prayers are super short, like a paragraph each on 32 different topics. You can do winwithlorenzo.com/prayer, or if you just like to connect, I do consulting and coaching. You want to talk to somebody around like an idea or a venture or some marketing stuff, you can also just reach out, send me a DM. I'm doing like free 30, 45-minute sessions. So I love to like give you some ideas. And then my only ask is when it works, just give your bro a testimonial.
I feel like we got the audience excited, man. They're primed and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Again, my name is Ian Williams, the Purpose Coach, and I'm a coaching consultant as well. I'm in personal growth and leadership development. That's my passion. You can get one of our free gifts at lifereconciled.com/free gift. My wife and I penned a personal growth journal that you can download and work through and kind of help you find purpose, direction, and fulfillment in your life and work through your own personal leadership. And we truly believe in the power of it. And we just want to empower you to go to the next level. So that's what we're all about. You can also find our business page at www.reconcileconsulting.com. We reconcile people to their purpose. So if you didn't know you had one, after talking to us, you might have a better sense of what you were meant to do on this earth. That's what we are about. And so if
give you a round of applause on that.
Yeah. It's no coincidence that the four of us are on this together doing what we do. It's an extension and expression of who we are as people. We're not just performing some sort of task or working some sort of job to make money, but we have a burden of purpose that we share that tells us to do the things that we're doing. And so that's why we're here. The Brothers and Influence podcast. We are discussing relevant topics thoughtfully with candor and care. And so today, I believe we got another good one. We are going to be talking about the topic of invisible wounds. If you didn't know, now you know that this is National Mental Health Awareness Month. And so I felt we would be remiss if we missed an opportunity to really speak to these things, particularly to our audience of Black and brown men, or really anywhere, wherever you find yourself. This is relevant to you, as we're all responsible for our mental health. And I think that there's a greater opportunity for us to take responsibility for that. And so we're talking about invisible wounds, fellas. What do y'all think? Anybody want to tee us off?
To go ahead and kind of break that down, because I mean that invisible wounds, man. I don't know. I think I'm gonna learn something good today.
Hey man, that's what we do, leaders and learners, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm interested in the concept because just my immediate thought, just looking at invisible wounds, obviously just the two words together, right? Invisible and wounds, but putting them in conjunction together and the concept of, especially from a mental health component, or even just as we're talking about mental health, I know definitely thinking about just wounds and them being invisible from the perspective of, what is that? What does that mean? Like, what wounds do I have that I invisible?
Yeah.
And what kind of impact is that having on me now? And then what happens when it doesn't become invisible no more?
Come on, coach.
Right? When it doesn't become invisible, because then at that point, if it's not invisible, that means it's visible. And the reality of it is that when it becomes visible, I think it then hurts you more, because now it's a wound. Now you have to start putting in some care, right? I don't know, depending on the wound, you might need to go get some stitches, or you might just need a Band-Aid. Mm-hmm. But depending on the wound, when it becomes visible, now it's going to have an impact.
Yeah. So, yes. Come on, coach.
Yeah.
He tried to play us, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all don't know he told us he was going to be a little slower on the draw. He comes through with the heat right away. Listen to him. Just watch him. Keep an eye on him.
You know,
yeah.
What's interesting, and one of the things that I get from my grandfather is that sometimes during heavy or deep moments, bringing levity to the situation will help penetrate somehow, right? So the first thing that came to my mind, Ian, when you said the word invisible wounds, was the song Smiling Faces Sometimes by The Undisputed Truth. And the lyrics of the song, you know, it goes smiling faces, smiling faces. So here are the lyrics. Smiling faces sometimes pretend to be your friend. Smiling faces show no traces of the evil that lurks within. Smiling faces sometimes don't tell the truth. Smiling faces tell lies, and I got proof. The truth in the eyes, because the eyes don't lie. Remember, a smile is just a frown turned upside down. So hear me when I'm saying smiling faces sometimes, yeah, they don't tell the truth. I'm telling you, beware of the pat on your back. It just might hold your back. Jealousy, misery, envy. I tell you, you can't see behind smiling faces. They don't tell lies. And it's a flippant way and it's a roundabout way of getting to, for me, invisible wounds speak to the unspoken hurts, the unspoken wounds, the things that come that you don't expect, that it's not an outward cut or a scar that I got, but it's an emotional wound. There's something that happened, a trauma or an experience that's sitting in my soul that I can't deal with, that I don't know. And oftentimes that these invisible wounds come from those who are closest to us. And it has more power to do damage to us because we don't have our guard up for this particular aspect of the invisible wound. So to get the conversation started, that song jumped out at me, and I'll play it maybe, or we'll play it going out at the end or something like that. But no, it was a funny way of thinking about, like getting scarred and cut like a ninja, and you don't know where it came from.
Wow. Wow, that's good. Shante, anything?
Nah, I don't got nothing to say after them two guys. They kind of. I'm meditating on that a little bit.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you know what? I love it, fellas. Y'all got us waist deep already. I'm not mad about it, you know. But I mean, seriously though, in the context of the conversation, again, just to remind those of you that are with us, is that this is Mental Health Awareness Month, hashtag with Mental Health Awareness Month. And so what are we talking about? Last week we touched on everything from mindfulness to another buzzword, trauma. As I listened to my brother Lorenzo kind of share the lyrics to that song, it just kept speaking out to me, trauma. Like whoever wrote that been through some stuff, right? And the invisible wounds really is just it's the hurts that you don't know you have, right? Or the things that you've had to power through to survive. And I think that speaks to our existence as Black people. Really having to power through and overcome, right? The entire gospel movement is about surviving, overcoming, being more than a conqueror, right? Being more than what the injuries that you sustain allow you to be, or what the injuries might create in you, right? So that's what we're really talking about. And the fact of the matter is, I think I made a statement last week. If I didn't say it last time, I've said it before, is that, so many of us are dealing with invisible wounds. We're dealing with trauma, and we didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
We go on a daily basis, and we experience traumatic things, and we just kind of brush it off. And there's various reasons, right? As a people, we've endured a lot. As individuals, as men, we're told we have to be what tough looks like, and so when we
cry, right?
When we reflect on what tough looks like, that doesn't leave a lot of room for reflection and pause. It's just press forward and stay strong. At least appear strong, right?
Yes.
And so that's what we're talking about when we say invisible wounds. And Sherrod, your line of questioning was brilliant, bro. You don't even realize, for someone who isn't acquainted with this idea, like, how does this affect me? You know, that question of the day, bro. You know, once you discovered it, once you're aware of it, man, hindsight is 20/20, right? You can begin to recognize why you behave the way you did under stress and stress, and
that's I think that's what stuck out to me the most, right? Is because, again, that's just that's a part of life, like, right? It's one thing to be aware of something, but then it's another thing to be unaware of something, right? And then it's what you do after that, right? It's now once you're aware of something, then becomes visible, then you have one of two things, right? You either react or you respond. So which one are you going to do? Right? How are you going to react, or how are you going to respond? And that's what, I mean, even as I'm listening to you and as you're breaking all this stuff, it's very interesting. Like, it gives pause, right? To really start, you start to think about it. Like, think about your interactions, think about your relationships, and then it's almost even from the perspective of, do I get it from my invisible wounds, or maybe the invisible wounds that I've caused, right? Because the reality of it is, how do I know?
Yeah.
Right? Because in most cases, if you think about it, and I'm not trying to I'm just doing what I do. Like, if you think about it, like, we unintentionally, right, sometimes respond or react in cases of just saying things and doing things, not understanding the impact that it's having on other people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, that being something of invisible wounds to me, right? So now I'm just looking at it from a complete picture, right? I'm looking big picture now. Like, now ideally, I'm going to have to go internally, right? Like Lorenzo said, like, it's going to be that internal wound or that internal emotional, mental component. But at the same aspect, I got to look at it like, okay, if I go there, then what's the outside impact, right? If there's an internal impact, there is an external impact, and there actually might be an external, I don't even know what word I want to use, like just an external
fallout.
Yeah.
Potentially. All right. So
yeah, man. What I love about what you just said, brother. One, I want to commend you, because it's a reflection of your maturity in your own journey as a man, as a brother, as a husband, as a father. I wasn't even thinking along those lines initially, but for sure, yeah. The nature of invisible wounds is that they create cycles. They're perpetual. They're perpetual, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to repeat that one more time.
The thing about invisible wounds is that they create cycles. You guys might have heard the phrase, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
That's where I was getting at. And that's what I was getting at, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are what generational curses are.
Yeah.
If you want to take it there, generationally, we have these unspoken things that happen over and over again. And because we don't talk about it, you'll find if people did talk about it, watch this. It happened to the grandmother and the grandmother's generation. It happened in the mother's generation. It happened in the daughter's generation. It's happening in the next generation. And we don't even talk about it because it's this invisible wound, and we don't even have language for it.
Right.
And we feel silly when we start feeling the type of way if something comes on us because we don't have an outlet for expression.
And don't even know why we do it. Like, when you were saying that, it made me think about and it's kind of a cheesy, but follow me, I think you'll get what I'm saying. Like, it's some kind of joke or whatnot, but it was basically, a lady bought a ham and she cut the end of the ham off so it would fit to put it into the pan that she was baking. You know where I'm going, right?
Yeah.
And then they asked the question, like, why did you do that? She said, well, my grandma always did that, or my mom always did that.
Right.
So then they went and asked the mom, and mom said, well, why? Well, my My mama, so the grandma always did that. Then they finally get all the way down to the end of the line, and then they asked her, they're like, well, why did you cut that off? She said, well, the reason I cut it off was because my pan was too small. Right. But again, the entire time they had a pan that the pan fit in it, no problem. But they were cutting it off and they never knew why they were cutting it off.
Yeah, exactly.
They just did it because it was something that that was passed on generation to generation.
Yeah.
And I think that's relevant because, again, how many things are we doing that, again, it had relevance then, but it doesn't have relevance now, but it could be causing a problem, right? It could be, we could be cutting off something that we could actually
say that last sentence again, because you said we could be cutting off something that we could actually
use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
When it's funny when I thought about invisible wounds. So when I was in prison, I took this class. It's called the Master Gardening class. Now, I learned a lot biblically just from that alone. But one of the key things that's always stuck out to me, and it's relevant across the board of anything you're dealing with. And so when I thought about invisible wounds, I instantly thought about signs versus symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're talking about wounds, something that's there but we don't know. And we've also said several times about the pressure bust pipes, right? Those things we don't understand and the person blows up. And then when they blow up, everyone's like, what happened to them? But then people start talking and saying, say it again.
No, I'm saying that's what people say. Why are they so mad? Why are they so angry?
Yeah, exactly. And then they begin to talk amongst each other. Then they say, well, I did kind of notice this or notice that. And like the symptom is like that manifestation of what's going on versus the sign is the physical aspect. So a woman that's in an abusive relationship, it starts off they're getting distance from family and stuff like that. But then, so those are the symptoms of what could be going on. And then, but the sign is the black eye or the bruised arms. And I think that's an important aspect of it, because if we understand that, we're able to take that opportunity. We kind of talked about it, I believe, last week about what was the title. What was the title of last week? Don't nobody remember the title of last week? Huh? Come on now.
I'm about to bow out.
Emotional self-care.
You good, bro?
You good, bro?
Yeah, you good, bro.
Emotional self-care, bro. We quick to say it, but we need to mean it, and we mean it by. I gave an example. The brother he texted me and said, "Hey, bro, how you doing?" I said, "I'm good." He's like, "No, I've been thinking about you. How you doing?" He wants more details, right? Mm-hmm. So he ain't just saying you good. He's saying, "Let me know what's going on. Where you at right now? Is everything copacetic? You know, that balance." And I think that symptom versus sign is important for us to understand, because it'll help us understand more clearly, when we ask that question. You good, bro?
Yeah. And how to understand ourselves. Like, why am I acting like this? Why am I acting out? Why am I tripping right now? Right? Why do I feel uneasy right now?
Yep.
Ian, I was looking up something I thought was interesting, that if you just Google invisible wounds, it's so much stuff that's linked to post-traumatic stress disorder. Yep. And it's so much stuff that's linked to war. And I think that that's super interesting. Also, it deals with like psychological wounds that can't be seen. And Ian, I'm gonna swing it back to you, but I found this thing. It says, here are some signs that you might have invisible wounds: flashbacks, irritable, frustrated, or angry. And I'm not even gonna pause over that quick. Flashbacks, like you have a consistent flashback to an event that occurred. Irritable, frustrated, angry, trouble with memory and attention, sensitivity to light and sound, headaches or migraines, a constant negative tone, fatigue, poor self-care, feeling anxious, trouble sleeping, insomnia, feeling depressed, chronic pain, avoidance, or detachment. these are all signs that you might be dealing with some invisible wounds. And now, having read that list, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say all of us are dealing with some invisible wound.
Yeah.
And that was, yeah. So as I was listening to your list, like that's, I don't know, to me, it's a little, because like that seems so general, because again, we can all relate to that, right? We can all connect to that. I mean, like right now I'm tired, right? I get frustrated in different things. Now, of course, I just got done getting out of quarantine, having COVID, right? But
I don't think that people knew. That's pausing the shot on that. You just got over the vid, bro. So that's the thing, but I'll be shout that you got over it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But what Shantae was saying about, signs versus symptoms made me even think about like when I first felt bad, when I didn't realize I had COVID, but I started feeling symptoms, right? I started feeling bad, like I just wasn't right? And I could have done completely off, right? Even if I think about the symptoms, I could have been like, well, it's a cold, it's a flu, it's not COVID. I could have did everything but go and get a test and get checked. But then what would have happened, right? Now, again, even going through all the symptoms, right, that I had, I mean, I had cold, aches, chills, all those different things. But if I wouldn't have went and found out what was wrong, how many other people could I have put in danger? How many other people could I have hurt or gotten sick, or who knows what, right?
Right.
And I think that even speaks to, again, when we think about these invisible wounds, then even when you were going down your checklist, right? I'm angry. And when you said flashbacks, immediately I thought about my man Ian when he said trauma, right? I mean, to go back to have a flashback, to have something that will remind you, to take you all the way back to something, that's major trauma.
Yep.
So, but I'm going to pass it back to Ian, because I know I would just love to hear again, like what Lorenzo was just talking about. And when he broke down those different lists, so if I'm a person and I'm interested, right? Even I'm asking for myself, like to get more, a greater understanding of these invisible wounds, right? And to even identify with it, or even what's next. Right? What's next?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I think I can speak from both. I can speak from personal experience, and I can speak from understanding as well. My wife is a licensed clinical social worker therapist. We both of our degrees are a background in psychology, so I can say this without even hesitating. This is going down with the plane moment, right? What do they say when the plane is going down? What do you do? I think Lorenzo brought this up last week.
Yeah, put the mask on on the person next to you.
No,
put the mask on yourself. My bad. Hey,
I turn on yourself first.
Yes.
Hey, I just had COVID. I just had COVID. Put that on COVID.
Mask on yourself first.
Right.
And that is such a powerful illustration, because everything that we talked about PTSD, we talked about flashbacks, we talked about generational curses. All of those are going down with the plane moments. You got to mask on yourself first. You can't you're not going to root up. You're not going to uproot and overcome a generational curse in your children. You got to do it in yourself first.
Wow. Wow. That's so good. What does that look like in terms of, what does that look like?
Well, here's what I'll say. This is one of the reasons why we're doing this, right? It's Mental Health Awareness Month. Talk to somebody, man. And I'm not talking about just your homie down the street or your auntie or even your mom. As much as they love you or care about you, they are not equipped to work through issues like this, right? And more than likely, because of the nature of invisible wounds, because they are perpetual, they probably have a lot of the same issues you got.
Yeah.
Or you be the cause of some of them.
That's what I was gonna say, bro. They might be low key in the whole situation that's caused the wounds. You got to deal with them some kind of way.
we all need somebody who's outside of the situation. And frankly, we need somebody who's trained and prepared, because this is another level of bearing a burden, right? If you're not trained, like, you know what I'm saying, we prepare our soldiers for combat. Our social workers, our therapists, they prepare for combat just in a different way. They go they go boot camp, and I'm serious. Like, it's a very serious thing. The things that our social workers face, like, they see so much, they get exposed to so much. They, like, self-care is a premium, and there's so many of them that really need to hear that message. Honestly, like, they have to take care of themselves. They have to keep themselves. They have to make self-care a priority in order to give what they give, because they're in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's not a personal, even when it's not a personal connection, which is appropriate, it's still very difficult, and it's messy, and but ultimately you gotta be able to talk to somebody. And so that's where last week's message was, "You good, bruh?" Question mark, in the stigma. That's what this is about. And this is where the real power of professional services like therapy come in. Because we don't know what we don't know, frankly. And if you need someone who is trained to help you unpack. I mean, you still gonna do the unpacking, right? It's your luggage. You got to do the unpacking, but they can guide you safely through it without triggering you, right? With respect to who you are, what you've been through, and your experiences. So it's like, like I said, you gotta overcome whatever the negative opinion is. It's not about being demented or broken beyond repair. This is about you being a human being that needs to care for yourself, right? To put the mask on yourself so that you can survive, so that your children can thrive.
Man,
that's a Selah moment right there.
Yeah. You when you made mention of the, you still got to do the work, right? You still got to unpack the luggage. And it made me think, because, we're getting ready to do a family trip. And it's funny because obviously last year we didn't go our family trip. Nobody went really nowhere, right? But it's funny, like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, so what if I just left my bag packed from the last trip, grabbed that bag, and went on this trip? Right. I never unpacked it from the last trip. I just grabbed it and go, and then expect for whatever it is that I need to be in that bag. Right. Or better yet, and the reality of it is, it probably is. Right. But here's the question. But if I never unpacked it, well, that means that it's all the same stuff from last year that has no what I need this year. Right. And then it's old, it's mildewed, you see what I'm saying? Like, but yet when you said that, in my mind, I'm like, we carry baggage and luggage around with us all the time.
Yeah.
Never taking the time to unpack it. Never taking the time to just do some maintenance, to just, I don't know, like that, man. It's just so very simplistic, right? We all heard it, right? Yeah, we're carrying luggage, but just think about it for a minute. Just unpack your bag.
Yeah.
Unpack your bag.
Yeah.
Even if it's just to unpack it, to see what's in it.
Yeah. What's powerful about what you're sharing, Sherrod, is we could almost call it the distinction of your past is in your future. What most people do is live a life by default instead of by design. So we're at work on a Friday or even on a Wednesday, and we have a trip to Jamaica coming up. So we're so excited that we have this trip to Jamaica coming up that we are on cloud 9. Fast forward, we're in Jamaica for 2 or 3 weeks. The end of the Jamaica trip is coming up. We're not enjoying the end of the Jamaica trip because we're thinking about the job. So many of us carry past situations and create our futures based upon our past situations. So because I went on this camping trip last year with the family, my expectation of next year's camping trip is steeped in the experience of last year's trip versus me creating an entirely new experience for our family. And so there's a being locked into a past situation that keeps you stuck in a past-based expression versus a future-based expression. But that is what trauma and depression is meant to do. It is meant to keep us, invisible wounds are meant to keep us stagnant. They're meant to keep us in the same place. So the way it locks us in the same place is by attaching us, to an anchor point. And once that anchor has been solidified, now we're in what's called a loop. And we're in a loop unless we interrupt the pattern, the cycle. Unless we interrupt the pattern of the cycle, then we're going to continue beating up against this wall, having the same experiences, even though it's 30 years later, still having experiences of when that thing happened in the past. And that was. Go ahead.
Wait, guys. One thing I want to help people understand is that that's a scary thing, to work through that. When we say unpack, like, and you're busy having flashbacks, it's that significant. So we're not saying that this is going to be easy. Like, connecting with a therapist is going to be easy work. It's not easy work. It's not light work. It's real. Get your hands dirty down in the trenches. But see, here's the thing. Here's another thing that the therapists are trained to do. They're trained to help you identify healthy ways to cope with the process.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if we could, man, Ian, so I would even say let's shift, because I mean the reality of it is, like, I think we could go like to the middle of the earth, core deep into this concept of just invisible wounds. But like, I definitely want to make sure that those that are listening, those who are going to be watching the replay, like, now that they're identifying with it, like, I know there's something that all four of us has said that someone can connect with and relate to, right? But now that we understand it, now we have a better understanding. We may not have the complete understanding, but we understand, okay, with invisible wounds, there's trauma, there's issues I have. Now we're starting to think about, okay, when I'm upset, when I'm frustrated, when I'm tired, when I'm depressed, when I'm going through all these different emotions, is it attached to some type of invisible wound? Now you're saying, hey, let's get some help, right? Get connected to somebody, talk to somebody. But outside of that, like, what is the benefits? What am I going to gain from that? Where's now the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about life, health, and strength, man. Really, if I were to sum it up, Renzo talked about that anchor point, being anchored down, stuck. Going through this process helps you get unstuck. If you feel stuck, repeating and going through the same things and reacting the same ways. See, a lot of times, most of us who have invisible wounds, we've gone through things and we don't want to react that way. We don't want to react, but we can't help ourselves. We've created a pattern and a habit, and it almost seems that simple, but it goes much deeper. It's because it's rooted and anchored in something that you've been through that hasn't been dealt with, and in that, and because of that, it's a symptom. But you need to deal with the root. So it's really kind of overcoming those root issues. So that you can be free to have freedom of expression, which is another thing our brother Lorenzo was saying. You want to be free to be who you were created to be. Listen, that's what we're all about: life, leadership, and community in every area. We're talking about freedom, whereas dealing with invisible wounds, you are bound.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, drop it.
Okay. Because then you said, man, the root, right? In my mind, as soon as you said that, and then thinking about what Lorenzo was talking about again, our past experiences, or being stuck in past experiences, being anchored in something that again puts us in this continuous cycle of this place that we don't want to be in, or we just don't know how to get out of. And when you said the root cause, right, that you got to get to the root, it made me think about, just the various different seasons, and then, harvesting, right? Sowing and harvesting. And the thing about it is that even in the time that, a farmer harvests its crop for that season, there's some good and there's some bad, right? He keeps the good, he gets rid of the bad, or he repurposes them, right? And that's a completely different conversation. But he does something with it, with his crop. But the significant point that I think that is relevant here to what you said is that it's the root. Now, here's the thing. What happened from that crop prepared the ground for the next season and prepared it for the next sowing of whatever it is that you're going to sow at that particular time. But we have to take care of the soil. So the question is I think how we get anchored or we get stuck is that we don't take to till the soil, to turn up and get those different things that are down in there moving around. So when we move to plant for the next time, then we're going to reap from our last experiences, but a brand new harvest. And it just made me think about, again, even the example that Lorenzo said, that again, we went on a trip, and I'm thinking that my last experience is going to be the same as this experience. But the reality of it is I'm not the same person, right? I'm not the same person. I haven't had the same experiences. I'm not the same people. And I think we sometimes get blinders on, and we get so caught up on what's not happening that we don't pay attention to what is happening.
That's good.
Right. And then I think that even goes back to the last, I don't know if you said it last week. You said it last week, Ian, that again, the times that you take your wife's hand and you're present, right? Being present in the moment and in the experience, that's where you get your ability to actually now break anchor. Because then you're at that particular time making a new experience.
Y'all are deep.
Man, almost we could take it even. We could take it a little further. Have you guys? I believe I sent a text message out, but I'll pose this question: have you guys heard of ACEs?
Say it again.
ACEs.
Yes.
Like ACE. ACEs.
Yeah.
Okay. So this comes out of significant studies, and it's supported by our government. So even they know, this is legit. ACEs simply stands for Adverse Childhood Experience. And there's studies that show that it's pretty well supported, that children who have these specific experiences from ages 0 to 17 years old, they are much more at risk than your average person.
Pause for a second, because the buzz is back. I want us to kind of handle the buzz and read this again, because this is deep, and I feel like a lot of people are dealing with this. Yeah.
ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences, supported, studied. You can go to cdc.gov even, and read about about ACEs. But it's supported, studies supported, and it basically says that children ages 0 to 17 who experience these things that fall into this category, such as violence, abuse, neglect, violence in the home or in the community, experience and death or suicide. Children who go through these things are more at risk than the average person.
So every black and brown kid growing up in America, basically all over the world.
Yep.
Say that again, right?
Studies are linked directly to chronic health problems, mental illness and substance abuse.
It's crazy.
And you can actually Google, if you Google it, you can find like a 10 question survey that you can take for yourself and just score yourself 1 through 10. The higher you are, closer to 10, the more at risk you are or were to these problems.
Are you on the site now? Can you drop that in the chat?
Yeah.
So Ian's going to drop the survey he's talking about now in the chat, and you can take it. I'm going to take it as well. But Ian, what you're basically saying, and this is what our hypothesis was last week, is that if you're a Black and brown person growing up in America, you definitely have trauma by yourself and from the DNA and from your ancestors. And then B, you need to see somebody. Like that. It is nowadays, it is almost a privilege, right? We talked about going to certain schools, being with certain environments where like their kids just automatically see therapists off the rip, right? Schools have amazing therapists. And so Brothers in Influence podcast, we are advocating, we are saying there is nothing wrong that you have trauma, that by virtue of your life position right now, you have trauma, and that
we all have trauma.
Right. You deserve
to be wrong with you. You are not damaged goods.
Yeah. Right. That's right. So we're gonna, that link is in the chat, but then also, Ian, we gave them a few links, Dr. Kevin Chapman, a couple of other folks that are available for telehealth sessions, but then also there's a national association where you can look up therapists and psychologists. Ian and his wife do an amazing work in this area of mental health. In fact, reach out to Ian and his wife, send Ian a DM. Wow. Here's what I want to do, Ian, if it's possible. I don't want to put any barriers for anybody right now that's looking to take a step. You might be open enough to say, I'm interested, I want to talk to somebody, but then going on the internet and finding a whole lot of stuff might be a lot of steps for you. If it's okay, what I want you to do is just send Ian or the Brothers in Influence podcast a DM and say, I was moved by what I saw. Can you help me connect with someone? And we will help you connect with someone. It probably won't be us. I don't even know if we can do this, Ian. But I think that to take away the barrier of entry, we will point you, or somebody in our group will point you in the right direction to finding somebody that's appropriate for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm gonna go ahead and put my better half out there. This is something that she's very passionate about. If you mention even thinking about talking to somebody, she will be like, listen, I will help you find them.
That's what's up.
No matter if they're near me or not, she will work with you. So by extension, if you do message us, we are definitely there to help support in that way. And that doesn't do anything for us. That's just us sowing. We're sowing and praying and hoping and believing with you for the work. Yeah. So listen, the great thing about this is, and while I'm shoulder to shoulder with my brothers, is that there are ways to mitigate these things. We know that we all are on the list, right? Out of 10, I'm a solid 6. And I'm not going to bring the questions up here. I mean, you can look them up yourself, but they're pretty personal. We talked about substance abuse, physical abuse, seeing violence in your community, in your home, whatever the case may be. And yes, so these lead to that, they lead to very dangerous things, if not checked. And so now where we are, once we have done the work, right, we put the mask on ourselves. The next step, as Sherrod was alluding to earlier, is like, look on the outside of you. What is the collateral damage? What has it been like to be in your space? These can be mitigated.
What's the cost?
Yes. Yeah.
What's the cost?
And that's part of the process. Counting that cost. All right.
Yeah.
But the difference to be made, there's an opportunity there for each and every one of us. There's an opportunity there. Once you are committed to the work for yourself personally, it's kind of like it's really like every area of personal awareness and growth. Once you begin to recognize yourself, you begin to recognize others. And so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a couple minutes. I'm gonna play this video, and we're gonna before we close today, I wanna get you guys' reaction.
Hey, Shantae, bro, I know you had something earlier, man. You kind of jumped out. So what you got?
No. We good. I was just gonna kind of transition to where he went. So we good. We good.
Yeah, don't let me.
No. We good.
Shantae keeps us on track. Shantae is like a Jedi.
Yeah. There we go. Let me know if y'all got sound on this.
Okay.
And this is from cdc.gov. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to put that out there because, a lot of us are in places that don't feel like the people that we voted for care about us. But they know this information is out there.
Hi, this is my neighborhood. I grew up in this building. This is a great community now, but it's had its share of problems. When I was a kid,
Sound went out. Sounds like Brooklyn. Sounds like Jersey City.
you might have heard about
Sounds
adverse
like-
childhood
okay,
experiences or ACEs. ACEs are traumatic events in childhood, like abuse and neglect, that can increase risk for future problems. But they don't have to. The good news is that ACEs and their consequences can be prevented. Take me, for example. I was at risk for ACEs, and despite all the things that put me at risk, some pretty incredible people helped make sure that I wouldn't become another statistic. Come on, I'll show you around. That's Jackson. He's a cool kid. His dad left when he was 2, and his mom works 2 jobs. I hang out with him every Thursday night and help him with his homework. Sometimes we grab ice cream. It's fun. Plus, he has another adult role model to learn from and trust. That's Mr. Martino. When I was a kid, he let me help him at the store sometimes after school when my parents were working late. He did that for a bunch of us. My dad actually found his job as a mechanic because of Mr. Martino. This helped our family in so many ways. Not only did my dad have a steady paycheck, which eased his stress about paying rent and buying necessities like food and clothes, but he was also a lot nicer to me, my brother, and my mom once he started working a job that made him feel good about himself. When communities come together, they can do so much to prevent ACEs. Mr. Martino and other local business owners put together a series of career workshops to help people like my dad find work. My mom also got a job with a company that allowed her to work from home and spend more time with me and my brother. Mariana has just gotten out of a class about handling challenges of single parenting. The clinic offers free childcare so Mariana's daughter, Ella, can play while Mariana's in class. The class helps parents like Mariana develop positive parenting skills, not just for babies and toddlers, but for teenagers too. This is another way our community has come together to give families the resources they need, and just one more way to prevent ACEs. This was my school, Riverside Middle, right in the heart of town. These kids are here for a sponsored summer camp. This community-supported program helps families with affordable, quality childcare and helps kids get tutoring and learn life skills. When I was a kid, I spent a lot of time at this school all year long. There was one counselor, Miss Greer, who I remember more than anyone. She was a really good listener. Miss Greer helped me and my brother get involved in after-school activities like baseball and soccer. Our coaches were super nice and were mentors to us. Staying after school for practice kept us and a lot of other kids out of trouble. When schools help take responsibility for preventing ACEs, everybody wins. My life could have gone in a completely different direction. Studies show that ACEs can have long-term negative effects on kids' health and well-being that may last into adulthood and even continue in future generations. But by people and groups taking action, ACEs can be prevented. In fact, there are 5 known strategies that help stop ACEs before they even start. You can implement them in your own community, just like we did. How? By strengthening economic support for families, by changing social norms to support parents in positive parenting, by providing quality care and education early in life, by enhancing parenting skills to promote healthy child development, and by intervening to lessen harms and prevent future risk. So, now you know my story, and you've seen the prevention strategies in my community that helped me beat the odds. I had healthy relationships with my family and friends. I learned how to take care of myself and make good choices. And today, I'm a mentor to other kids who need some extra help so they don't become an ACEs statistic. Safe, stable, and nurturing relationships and environments are essential to prevent child abuse and neglect and to assure that all kids reach their full potential. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Banana split? You got it.
I'm gonna let that breathe for a minute.
So it's coming down. I'll go first. I was gonna go last, but I'll go first just because it's coming to the end of the podcast. I'm gonna say that was a good video. I think it was for the education that it provided. It is outstanding, and I think everything that they listed was spot on. I'm curious about who the audience is. I think there are some systemic issues. I think it's tough to show that to a single mom trying to make it. Like,
Mhm.
but the thing that comes into my mind is this our issue to deal with, or is it whose issue is this to deal with? Like, yes, individuals have their roles, and I think all of the things that are necessary must be done. But part of me is like, there are some deeper systemic issues that need to be addressed. I don't want to focus on the individual sin and not the systemic sin. And I
Right.
don't think that's what the video, like, all of this is just random, but in my radicalness, these are the random thoughts that pop up in Lorenzo's head. Not exactly points at this, but it's just this whole idea of the systemic aspects of the pressures put on families in our urban communities. And can we as urban people can do all that we can to do these systems and put these things in place. But if the system remains how it remains, we will still get the same outputs that we'll get. Those are just some of my random thoughts and musings.
Mhm.
Overall, great information.
Shantae, where you at?
Yeah, it was. I'm saying that's why I posted a couple of some of the information off the site too, because I think the statistics are important to grasp because we're talking about a lot of parts, but grasp the whole of the ACE and what's going on.
Mhm.
And for me, I want to just real quick jump back because Sherrod was talking about luggage. The luggage he had from the first from a trip last year, he still packed versus, and then he said that, and then Lorenzo talked about life by default versus design. And I recall I went on a trip out to Virginia Beach. You're talking about 20-something years ago, but had never really been out there. Went on the water, so your clothes are getting wet. It was just I was hustling, so we just jumped on the highway and went. But my car broke down, and so all those clothes were packed in the trunk. So when I finally came back months later, because I'm hustling, just months later to pick the car up so I could tow it back, get it fixed, popped the trunk, and didn't have no cheap clothes, but they had that seawater, so they were molded. The shoes were molded, and when you guys were talking about this, made me think about that real quick to give perspective on the luggage situation. Because when you start unpacking that old luggage, it smells. Things are dirty. Like I said, he had mold on the shoes, mold on the clothes because they were never washed. They were just in the trunk, broke down. So sitting in the heat for months. And so I'm saying this to say, yeah, we all got issues. It's simple as that. And if you're one of the people saying that you don't got no issues, you really got some issues. It's just simple as that. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about us, like the prodigal son. He came to himself, coming to ourselves and realized, guess what? I got some issues.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of a transformational life for us as individuals. So I just want to bring that up.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know, it's one of those things when I see that video, I think that the question about who's the audience for this, that's an excellent question. I think when I think of when I reflect on it in light of Brothers in Influence, when we talk about life, leadership, and community, we definitely have some systemic issues. But I think the part of the reason that we're here and that we're doing this is because we want to make a difference. We believe that we can make a difference, and so to that end, it's like, you know, what could Brothers of Influence possibly become?
Yes.
Meet some of those needs.
Good. I love that.
And those of you that are have been encouraged and are willing or considering to do the work that we're talking about today in yourself, I think that as you begin to do it, you'll begin to also wake up to the possibilities and the potential of the work, the opportunities there for you. It's hard to accept a gift when your hands is full, but once you put that luggage down, though, once you get free and break them shackles off, then you can be ready to receive. And that's where we want to see you. You know what I'm saying? We want to see you ready and prepared, open, so that you can be launched into who and what you were created to be and do. Come on, Locksmith.
Come on, wrap us on up.
Nah, man. Yeah, that video was I wanted to watch it again, just put it that way, and share that, because that was that was powerful. Like Lorenzo said, man, it's not an individual cause. Like it's a, you know, it takes a village. Like there's so many different. I think what I took from it was so powerful for me was that even though it went through individual people's situations, in the end, it broke down how they came together as a community. Right? It was the collaboration, which for me is always going to be the solution to any problem. If we ever think that a problem can only be solved or there can only be solutions through just one individual and us not coming together as to understand the differences, to see the opportunities, the invisible wounds, then we will continue to stay in this cycle. And there's so much. I think what stuck out to me also the most was the fact that resources is the key. Having resources available, having access to resources, and then just knowing what resources are available. And it's the funny thing is, or it's not even funny, but the crazy thing is, it's like, this isn't new. Right? Like this thought process it's not new, right? I think it's the fact that it's not being talked about enough, because again, the only way that you can bring awareness to something, talk about it, right? Make it uninvisible, right? Make it visible. When it becomes more visible, then you have the ability to actually look at it, to actually address it, to actually touch it. Because when it becomes visible and you're able to touch it and start putting your ability on it, and then grabbing the hand of someone else and allowing them to help you and come alongside you, then you have more hands, you have more opportunity, you have more possibility, you have more potential, you just have more. So when you have more, I mean, you lose. There is no limit at that particular point. You just have more. So for me, man, the video, I mean, there's a lot, and I know I kind of went all over the place, but the biggest thing that I took from that was that it's not we need to talk about it more. We need to make it more visible. And then we need to, again, and I think what you were alluding to, I kind of jumped out of there, but I came back in when you were talking about, just with us as us 5 brothers, that in our ability, again, if it's just us talking about it, bringing awareness to it, I think that's just even another step in the right direction.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I definitely, if you feel like what we've been talking about today resonates with you, go ahead and take the ACEs quiz, man. It's nothing. It's just a simple printout. So you can pull it up on your phone and just count it up, and you can really kind of get a sense of what sort of invisible wounds you might be harboring. And take the step, man. I just want to encourage you from personal experience. Go ahead and take this step and really just be willing to talk to somebody. It's a safe environment. They are professionals. They're trained. And I will say that, finding the right relationship is important. You don't have to just settle for whatever, therapist is nearby. But like, vet them out. You know what I'm saying? Spend some time. Make sure that they work. That they work with you and your personality and how you're wired. And just be willing to do the work. Once you commit to doing the work, that's half the battle. Right? Mm-hmm. When you get in there and really just work through it, because these invisible wounds, man, they're literally killing us.
And if I could say this, Ian, because I sense so strongly that there are people who are watching or will be watching, that your invisible wound is so whatever it is and you have so suppressed it that you don't even want to deal with it. Consider that you being a part of this conversation and listening to this conversation was your knock or your notice that it's time to begin to do the work to handle and unpack these situations.
Yes.
And there was a time and there was a season to suppress, but now this is the time and the season to begin to move forward and to move out and to do it in a way that's powerful. And so I want to encourage you. I know and I sense that thing that you've been suppressing, the things you've forgotten that you've suppressed before, that it is now a safe time for you to deal with and for you to move and to get over and to handle those things.
Yeah. And I'll be transparent, Lorenzo. Like I'm that guy. What you just said, that's me. Jesus. Right? Yeah, that's me. Like I don't even know what it is that I suppressed.
Yes, God.
Right? I don't even know what it is but that's me.
Yes.
But this is why this is why I love this. And I love you guys. You the man. I never would have thought about this. Never would have thought about it. And let's go ahead and be completely transparent. I don't even think I heard of invisible wounds until today. See, so sometimes it's just the fact of just getting the information, right? Getting the information. So yeah, Lorenzo, I'll be, and so what I'm saying is whoever else is out there, I'll be the first one to tell you right now, I'm that guy that suppressed, that didn't know, that just didn't want to deal with stuff. I got plenty of stuff that I haven't dealt with. I know that I haven't dealt with.
Yes, God.
But guess what? Today begins the work. The work.
Yes, Lord.
So
I feel the shifting. I feel, Sherrod, as you shared, you're liberating other people to share and to even just release, to have the confidence and fortitude to release, even to just be able to break down just enough to say, you know what, I'm not okay. For some people, today is going to be their day. Whenever they listen to this podcast, it's going to be their day to say, you know what, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And this is the day that I begin to move forward and to deal with things in my life. Thank you for sharing that.
And I want to speak to anybody that's connecting right now. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's okay to not be okay. It's just not okay to stay that way. And we just want to encourage you and lift you up and build you up to the point where you're ready to just take that next step. And I want to give a shout out to our dear sister of Lorenzo and I, Dr. Stephanie Hampton Cradle. We want to help take you from surviving to thriving.
Yeah.
In the areas of life, leadership, and community.
Yeah.
Whew, man, this was a great conversation, and the conversation will continue. We will be back next week, next Monday, at 3:15.
Ian, this is so powerful. If we can read, I see Orion or Orion. Please forgive me if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly.
Nana, bro.
What'd you say?
That's my Nana, bro.
Nice. So Nana says, I love watching your podcast. Sometimes I don't catch them live and watch later. The podcasts are so much needed. These are very close to my heart. Thank you, everyone. Keep up the good work. I believe in you and I believe in what you are doing. That's a sign for me, Ian, because I felt led to ask the people, if you've been watching, if you've been listening, please send us some feedback. How are these sessions impacting you? What are you left with when you leave the sessions? What are you learning? What do you like? What do you not like? What a better time is a different time, just whatever source spirit lays on your heart. But we would love your feedback. It nourishes us. We do this as a labor of love, as a labor of spirit, something that God has called us to. And so we're happy and blessed to be here. And so we would also love to hear from you all so that we can continue to move in the flow of, I guess, where we're going with this. So yeah, I wanted to mention that also.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Nana Oreen. You know, she knows the deal. She's actually my paternal grandmother, who I only just met in the last 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I'm adopted, right?
Yeah.
I was adopted as an infant. Process started around 6 months old and finalized around 9 months old.
Wow.
So, she's a blessing. The family is a blessing, but it took 30 some odd years for us for them to be in my life. And so that's a part of my ACEs story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a part of my ACEs story. So yes, thank you for tuning in to the Brothers in Influence podcast, where we stand to encourage, inspire, and add value to Black men in the areas of life, leadership, and community. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. We pray and we hope and we believe that we've added value, and we look forward to connecting and for you tuning in next week with us. Same time, Monday, 3:15 p.m. Holla back.